advanced AI drones could be coming to your local police department soon. California-based tech startup SkyDio has created what they claim is the most advanced AI-powered drone ever built. According to Forbes, the drones are already being used in more than 20 police agencies nationwide, and orders for more aerial devices are expected. So Thomas Brewster, Forbes associate editor and author, is also the author of the article that we are about to discuss. So thank you so much for joining us. This is a really fascinating topic. You know, people think of drones as kind of something that you use as a hobby or maybe for film crews, but now we're talking about police departments having access and drone flying becoming something that isn't a specialized activity if it can be done sort of remotely on its own. So police officers have been using drones for some time. What's the distinction, though, when we're talking about the SkyDio models?
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned that consumers were the primary users of drones, because SkyDio started off as a consumer drone company. Its chief sell, or its really unique selling point, was that it could latch onto a target, whether that's a car or a person, and automatically follow it. There are very obvious police uses for that kind of technology. So SkyDio is trying to take on DJI, which is the sort of big competitor, which already has some self-flying capabilities. But SkyDio is receiving a lot of plaudits for being able to dodge obstacles automatically. So it can, dodge trees, or it can dodge whatever obstacles in its way, whether that's a pillar, whatever. So SkyDio is now building its name as this all-American supplier of the automated drone that can follow anyone it wants, as well as, when a pilot is in control, it's very good at avoiding obstacles for the officer who's in control.
So SkyDio started giving some police agencies free drones as part of a company project to help during the pandemic. When I read your article, this really jumped out at me, because I think I recall a sort of similar program with one of the doorbells that also records, that they started sort of offering free doorbells to police officers. And what happened was kind of like a little bit of a low-grade surveillance organization, in that, people in the neighborhood were able to record what was happening on their front porch. If somebody stole one of their, packages, they would then send that video to police. And it was a kind of a relationship that started to get a little too cozy and a little too uncomfortable. So, I'm wondering, what's your take? And should there be concerns about a private company donating, if you will, this equipment that could be used as surveillance equipment to police?
I think there are valid concerns about that, especially, when citizens aren't actually ever asked whether they want this technology to be policed in the first place. I think SkyDio was doing it partly because it was, genuinely concerned about police officers being able to do their job during this pandemic, but also because they know that they are so far behind the market leaders, DJI, that they have to start getting these devices out to police agencies now. And yes, if you're a citizen who is concerned about this technology surveilling you without your permission, then understandably you will have concerns. At the same time, these are surveillance devices, but at the same time, they should also be considered as similar to body cameras, oversight for the police, but just in the air. They have the power to do some real good from that perspective. Everything we've seen with the riots in the US over the past year, concerns over police brutality.
You're breaking up a little bit, so I'm not sure if we still have you. I know my producers will keep me abreast of what's going on. Oh, I can hear you, though. So I think that's actually a really interesting comparison, comparing the video that the drones can pick up to what you would see on a police body cam. But on a police body cam, it's strictly kind of, generally, we're talking about strictly the interaction that the police officer's having with a citizen at the time, whatever it may be. The thing about these drones and the cameras, particularly as the cameras get better and better, is they can sort of video sort of wide swaths of an area. I have one of these consumer level sort of drones. And when I was kind of fiddling with it on my street, my neighbor came over and said, let me tell you something. If that drone ends up shooting, my daughter in her bedroom, we're in trouble, right? And we're friendly. But I got his point that even if that wasn't my intention, I could inadvertently pick up this stuff. And so I'm wondering if there are any kind of regulations when it comes to police officers using these drones, or sometimes the technology moves faster than the rules and regulations can be put in place.
Yeah, certainly. I guess the main concern with, fully autonomous drones flying around the neighborhood, catching onto targets is that, what if they get the target wrong? What if the technology fails and it hits something or someone or, someone's pet dog, whatever, there is the real potential for harm if these things are allowed to just fly themselves. But yes, there are regulations. The FFA has been very, very cautious when it comes to allowing drone use. So you've got, you're not allowed to fly a drone at nighttime yet, unless you have a waiver, which some police departments do. You're not allowed to let a drone fly out of your control or out of your sight. Again, some police departments are applying for and have waivers, so they are allowed to do this. But at the same time, you've got SkyDio now lobbying pretty hard on these issues to try and get the FFA to loosen the rules a little bit. And the FAA, from what I understand, is pretty open to loosening those rules once the technology has been proven. So once they see these SkyDio devices in use by police and they're flying around on their own and they can, maybe track suspects or they can find ways into areas where police couldn't before, maybe the FAA will say, okay, well, we'll start loosening the rules for everyone. You don't have to apply for a waiver. And I personally think that's only a matter of time. It's kind of like with self-driving cars, right? It's only a matter of time until they exist. Same thing for drones.
There's so many questions I could ask you about. We could go down sort of the hacking road, but I'm not even going to do that. If it's technology, someone's trying to hack it and they're trying to stop that. So let's put that aside. But let's talk about sort of the legality of the whole thing. If there's a drone that's flying sort of autonomously, no one's controlling it, it happens to pick up illegal activity. There's no sort of warrant per se. Can that video be used in court?
Ooh, tough one. I don't think so, as far as I'm aware. Without a warrant, you shouldn't be allowed. Although saying that, it is just surveillance footage, and that kind of footage is used often. I think you mentioned earlier the doorbell devices, which, as long as the users give up the footage that they have, they can it can be used in court. It can be used for evidence. So I think that, again, that's a valid concern. But at the minute, these drones aren't allowed to just fly around on their own, capturing anything that they want. That's a little bit time off. I think when the FAA loosens the rules, then maybe we should start to question about what's allowed in court and what's not.
Thomas Brewster, fascinating article, fascinating topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.